Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Kity. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it has been a week. I don't mean that like time has passed, a week has passed. No, I mean like it has been a heck of a week. So I was planning on getting a lot more videos out, like a lot more. But I had a life event that was kind of unavoidable. So this is a life event that many of us go through, and it varies upon, how severe it is. But granted, none of us want to do it. We prolong it every single time. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, here, I'll just tell you. I got my wisdom teeth taken out. Some people are lucky enough that they just get one wisdom tooth taken out, maybe just one side, and they can still use their other side to like chew and kind of eat normally somewhat. That was not me. I actually had the unfortunate luck of not only did I get all 4 wisdom teeth taken out, I also had to have a molar taken out because it was just too far gone. Maybe asking, how did that happen? Obviously, really bad childhood decisions. Don't at me because we know we've all been there, okay? So I had 5 teeth taken out. But I can tell you right now, actually, the experience was not that bad. I'm glad I only ever have to do it once. At first, I thought about this and, I knew this was coming up. I knew this procedure was coming up and everything like that. And granted, I know the big question on everyone's mind is, oh my God, did you get videos and pictures and everything else? I did actually. I told my mom, who was going to be my ride, and my sister, who was going to be babysitting me the majority of the first day, that they had my consent to photo, video, anything they wanted. The only requirement was that they had to send the material to me so I could put it in the video. I kind of went with the mentality of, you know what, if I have to have this done, I might as well get some production value out of it. I was totally terrified of this procedure because, one of the things that I kind of hate is the idea of losing my own self-control. And I mean like the whole idea of like not having control over what I'm saying, my body, not having any recollection of what happens to me. It's that stuff. I am totally terrified of that kind of stuff, which is one of the many reasons why I do not drink. And I've never been drunk in my life for that reason, because I don't like the idea of basically getting blackout drunk and not having any idea of what went on, or even having that impaired judgment of not being able to move quickly enough to react to something. Granted, one of the many benefits to getting my wisdom teeth pulled out, not only for the fact of, yes, it is good for my dental health, and it will help to make sure that I don't have further dental problems in the future, I also got about 45 more minutes of sleep, which was great. So I wanted to do a recap of like the first 5 days of my like wisdom tooth experience. So on the very first day, I got the procedure done on a Tuesday. I was kind of upset because obviously I was going to have to take time off of work. I was really hoping to get the procedure done on a Friday, which is what the dentist had said to me. This was on me though. This was my fault for not doing this. Because of how afraid I was, afraid, as well as the fact that I had other plans leading up to this, and I had totally forgotten about the procedure needing to be done, period. I prolonged when I need to get the procedure done. So it went on maybe like a month from when they told me it needed to be done. And they're like, yeah, our only other opening is on a Tuesday at like 11 in the morning. Which sucks. Because obviously they tell you, okay, first and foremost, you need a ride. You're not going to be able to drive home on, at all after this procedure. You're going to need a ride home. The second thing is that they also tell you, oh, you also can't have anything to eat or drink 8 hours before your procedure needs to be done. Which meant basically that I went to bed the night before, woke up and didn't have any snacks, no water, no breakfast, nothing. I basically woke up and didn't eat for about 3 to 4 hours before my appointment, which sucked. So, went to my appointment about 11 o'clock in the morning. My mom's there with me, she's driving me. They get us in, they're getting me all ready. And it's funny because, obviously, I've never had really surgery done. The closest thing to a surgery I have had done is when I've had my birth control done, and I have I know I'm going to say it wrong because I say it wrong every single time, the Nexaplon. I think it's Nexaplon. I think that's how you say it. And it's just a little thing that gets put into your arm, underneath the skin of your arm. I know that sounds really weird to say. Some people might find that really cool, but yeah. So that is the closest thing to an actual surgery that I have had. And again, I have a fear of anatomy, so I'm kind of freaking out as well. The only thing I'm thinking about is, thank God I'm going to be out, though. I'm just going to be completely put out. And I'm, sitting there, and I'm like, I pray to God that I don't wake up in the middle of this and, with the dentist over me with a pair of tools, in my mouth, and, just me just in there and just, all of a sudden wake up and be like, ah! That did not happen, thankfully. And if you are ever scared of that moment, you think, oh my God, I'm going to wake up in the middle of it. If your dentist or doctor has any merit, they will not let that happen. If that has happened to you, I am very, very sorry. More than likely, the doctor or dentist was just not good. So obviously, I was just looking forward to the fact that, I was going to be out. And on top of that, because I hadn't eaten anything, I was going to be tired, and I knew that. So I was like, at least I get to kind of somewhat sleep and reserve some energy. So that hopefully when we get out, we can find something for me to eat, and I can just eat right after the whole procedure. So obviously, as I'm sitting there in the chair, they have to, put an IV into my arm and everything like that to make sure that I'm still getting the fluids and that, that my blood level is, regulated and stuff like that. The IV actually was even funnier because it went into my hand, and it was probably the weirdest experience I've ever had for myself because, again, I've never had a surgery done. I have never had to stay overnight in a hospital either, so having an IV sticking out of me was really weird. And at first I thought my mind was going to start freaking out because I was just going to see this thing poking out of my hand like this pretty much, and I was just going to be like, oh crap. It really wasn't like that. It was funny because I was more fascinated. I was just like, that is the weirdest sensation I've ever had. It's just really weird to see this thing sticking out of my hand. I apologize if this is uncomfortable for some people, it's kind of gross, but I did think it would be better if I told the whole story in its details so that if there was anybody out there that was like, oh my God, I'm so worried about the procedure, to calm your nerves, as well as the fact of, I don't know, start some conversation, people being like, oh, I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out. Yeah, it was the most sucky day of my life. So obviously, as they're checking my blood pressure, they're getting me set up for the IV. Prior to that, they had me sign some papers, just disclaimer stuff, oh, you consent to us doing this procedure, you consent to us using this sort of, medicine on you, this sort of anesthesia, there was all of that. And it was kind of funny because, after I got all the paperwork done and after I got myself set up with the IV, they put the mask on me. For those of you that have had a wisdom tooth taken out or any sort of tooth extraction and you have to have the anesthesia, this just proves how much of a lightweight I am. So many people, you know, when they get the anesthesia put on them, you know, the doctor or the dentist says, okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to count back from 10. And basically what happens is it gives it time for the anesthesia to, you know, get into your system and, you know, do its thing. You know, many people don't make it past like 7 or 6 before they're just out. I didn't even make it to the part where they even gave me the instructions. I was out. I blacked out literally seconds after they put it over my face. It was so sad. Like, there was no instructions. My mom did take a few videos of me after I got out of the procedure. And she does mention this as well as myself in the video, but one thing that was kind of funny about it that wasn't mentioned in the video. So my mom was in the room at the time, you know, when I was signing papers and getting ready and stuff like that. Nobody at this point had kind of realized that I was out yet. Like, they thought I was still pretty coherent. Apparently, my body's just that good at running by itself without a brain. And so, you know, the doctor looks to me, looks at my mom and says, okay, mom, you know, we're getting her ready. So, you know, you can go sit out in the waiting room. You know, we'll let you know when she's done and call you. And my mom was like, okay, Michaela, I'm gonna go. Michaela's my real name, just so you all know. She says it in the video as well, so I thought I'd just mention it. But she says, okay, Michaela, I'm gonna go. I love you. I don't remember doing any of this. But apparently, like, I sat there and there was like this delay of like a couple seconds. And then like it kind of like was like one of those moments where my body just kind of figured out like, oh, we should probably say something to her. And I turned to her and I'm like, oh yeah. I should probably say I love you too, because this might be the last time I see you. I don't even know, man. Granted, I would probably say that same thing even not being under the influence of medicine. But it was the funniest thing ever because I guess after I said that, you know, my mom basically knew I was joking. She knew. She knows my humor. She knows that I say these like outlandish things at the most unopportune time. The dentist, well, the doctor, dentist, and the dental hygienist were like, no, she's gonna be fine. She's going to be fine. And my mom's just like, yeah, I know. And she leaves. After that whole fiasco, I got the procedure done. You know, it was a big success. No problems whatsoever. I vaguely remember them coming to get me and putting me in a wheelchair. And it was even funnier because I remember them like, you know, telling me like, okay, Michaela, can you face this way? And I like sit up and I turn. And granted, it's funny because it feels like my vision is like this. Like I feel like everything else is blacked out, but I just have this much vision of what's in front of me. And I'm just kind of sitting there and I kind of see the wheelchair right in front of me. Like literally it is like a foot in front of me. There's no way I can not get into it kind of idea. They're like, okay, we need to put you in this wheelchair. And it was even funny because like, I know at this moment in time, like this one couple moments, these one couple seconds of me finally being coherent, like my body's like, we are not in a good state right now. We are not in a full functioning state. I looked at the chair and my brain's just like, oh heck no, there's no way I'm gonna make it into the chair. Like that is how much I couldn't, like my body just could not function under these like anesthetics or anesthesia. My body it was as if my body was made of Jello. People like literally had to help me into the chair. After they helped me into the chair, I blacked out again. And this is where we get to the point where I'm visiting my mom and, you know, she's videotaping me basically. Let me show you those clips though of what I was like as I was sitting there in the recovery area and what I was saying.
So often in my mental, capacity of thinking, That's the only thing that's not as effed up. But yes, please take pictures. Like, what the frick is going on?
But it doesn't hurt?
Not really. I think I can feel the gauze in my mouth. But that's it.
Well, it hasn't affected your talking ability. But you're feeling okay?
Yeah. I just can't really feel my tongue, in a sense.
Oh. So Appy's gonna stay with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel tweaked.
Tweet?
Tweaked.
What is tweet?
Like you're like high off something and you're just like, yeah.
Okay, don't move your head like that. Do you feel tired?
Yes and no. I'm tired. But it's like I'm like coming out of a nap. Kind of tired. And my mouth is on them, so there's that. It just kind of makes me want to feel they do drugs. Why do they do drugs?
I don't know. It's kind of sad, huh?
It is. It feels like I'm like in this like halfway point between being in stream and then out of stream. That's exactly what it felt like. Didn't even get the countdown actually.
What?
They did not count down.
No?
No. I think I was gone at 10.
Do you remember saying goodbye to me?
No.
You were very dramatic, and you were like, I love you too, Mom. This might be the last time that I get to talk to you.
It felt like it.
Was it kind of scary?
No. Surprisingly. It was like I was waking up from a dream. And I was just starting another day.
Huh.
It's really weird. So I'm like, I know I'm here. Like, I know that, like, I'm in my mental capacity. Like, I'm okay, but...
You still say big words when you're messed up.
Do it over here. Okay?
As far as one could be.
Okay.
It's like that moment of, like, waking up, but, like, someone rushing you out as you're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm here. I know that. But I'm, like, still trying to put all the pieces together. Sorry, am I loud? Am I yelling?
You're not yelling. You're just talking a little loud. That's all.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I just rather than putting the IV in me, and then what's that?
You were out.
I was out. I don't remember anything else. This is gonna be a great YouTube videos.
We have to send this to Ethan. You know that, right? Okay, don't shake your head. And try not to touch, like, don't touch the gauze or anything, okay?
Okay.
Honey, you look like devastated or something.
It's really weird because I want to focus on things. Because I'm like, I can kind of read that sign with there is like private staff only.
That's what it says.
But it's like my vision is like all over the place.
Right.
How long was I on for?
Not very long. It was maybe like half hour, 40 minutes. Not even that. Probably about a half hour, I would say. He was quick.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So no marathon today?
No. And actually no recording today either.
That would be kind of funny, actually, if you did a recording today.
I think I would need a little bit more time, though.
I'm sure you would get a lot of hits today.
I'm thinking of making it like the, not quite like the vagina monologues, but
Oh,
basically,
Lord.
but more like my wisdom teeth monologue. Just put a video out of all 5 days of how this went through. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling. The back is the gauze.
Yeah, don't touch that, honey. Don't touch it with your tongue.
I'm not trying to. It's just like I can feel it like top and bottom.
Right, yeah. They pack it in there so it keeps it nice and secure and doesn't bleed or nothing.
My legs are shaking for some reason. Like these
Your legs feel like they're shaking?
shaking.
They don't feel like they're shaking.
They're shaking.
It might be just because you're coming out of the anesthesia.
Yeah.
Do you feel okay?
As okay as one can be.
Sound like Grampy.
It's like I feel like I need to swallow, but I don't know if I'm allowed to swallow.
Well, you can swallow, hon. Just don't swallow the gauze, obviously, but it's probably going to be kind of hard to swallow right now.
Yeah, probably.
But you can swallow your saliva.
Also, I can't tell if it's saliva or the blood.
Well, it's your blood, so I guess it's okay.
I think Jeffrey had said something yesterday about it and said like, oh, you want to make sure that you're sleeping in a certain position because obviously, you don't want to be choking on blood because then it'll make you throw up. And you're like, oh, thanks, Jeffrey.
I don't think you're going to choke on your blood, honey. I think you're okay.
I hope so.
Just look dazed and confused.
Accurate. I'm dazed and confused. My hands just feel like they're not really any weight in them. And I can't see straight.
You feel like you can't, your hands are heavy?
Yeah, like I can feel you like doing that. Like I can feel this, but it's like lifting them up, they just feel like noodles.
Noodles?
Noodles.
Noodles? They'll feel better in a little while, honey. It's just once that stuff is out of your system. But it's going to take a while for it to be out of your system.
Yeah. This is not as bad as the girl who's like the gauze was her tongue and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And she like her mom removing the gauze and she's like, oh my god, it's on my tongue, it's on my tongue.
See, you're already starting to wake up.
Come over and change your gauze.
Oh, good.
It does take a lot of energy just to focus on anything. But just think, you don't have to work today. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to focus on anything.
Oh man. Yeah, I think a drunk person, if someone tried to tell me to walk, I feel like I would just face plant on the floor.
Well, I don't think they're going to have you walk yet. That's why you're in the big comfy chair.
Totally.
So remember how you were hungry before?
Uh-huh.
Are you hungry now?
Not as much. My body just keeps shaking.
Uh-huh.
I think it's just because of the initial shock of it all.
Right.
Like, I can feel my legs are shaking.
It's okay. You're okay. That will go away.
I can't feel my lips.
That's going to be a little while. That's probably a good thing right now that you can't feel anything.
Yeah. Because I'm scared it's going to happen when I can feel things.
Yeah, but you're going to have pain medicine. What? Burr? Are you cold?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Something and you're just like, okay. I like this agreeable Michaela.
Don't get used to it. It won't last long.
So can you spell your name?
I mean, yeah, I can. Like, everything up here works, just not here. And a little in this region right now.
Uh-huh.
Oh, do you actually want me to try to spell my name?
I was just wondering how out of it you were.
Makala.
Very good.
And yes, I know the year's still 2021. I feel like my whole body just spagootered.
It just what?
Spagootered.
Spagootered?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Ethan, Abby, and I had this thing where, like, randomly throughout the day, you would just spagooter and you just ragdoll.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yep. So to spagooter is to ragdoll?
Just in the unopportune times.
Oh.
Like in that video I showed you yesterday where I was trying to like spagooter and she was just like, over Ethan.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's how you feel?
Spagooter.
So you don't remember saying goodbye to me? And that you love me?
No. I just remember putting the needle in and just being like, no. And I was like, okay, that's the anesthetics. That's what's going in.
No, it was the gas that was on your face. That,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know something like that. Like, immediately as they put it on, I kind of started feeling, like, out of it.
Uh-huh. It works fast.
Yeah, and I was just like, at part of me was actually thinking, like, when do we get to the countdown?
You didn't make it to the countdown, hon.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I made it to that.
You're very dramatic when you say goodbye to me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you videotape it, hopefully?
No, I didn't.
Dang.
I said, okay, I love you and blah, blah, blah. So, and then you said, I love you too, Mom. This might be the last time I talk to you.
Granted, I'd say that even when I wasn't on the anesthetic, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of taste the blood in my mouth.
Can you?
A little bit. Like around the gauze and everything.
So Abby woke up late, and so she's not gonna come over right now. She's gonna wait until she gets out of work and then stay the night with you, so she can stay with you tomorrow. Is that okay?
My mouth is really dry.
Feels really dry.
Feels really dry. I don't know why. I didn't think I would have this much mental capacity. But, like, I am actually fully functional right now. Well, brain-wise.
If you could stand up, you'd be fully functional.
That. I was talking more, like, in my head.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like, it feels like I just woke up, but it feels like I'm like, I know where I am. I'm in the
Redacted.
office. I'm recovering. But it just feels really weird. Am I actually allowed to talk, to be honest?
Yes, you can talk, honey.
Okay. Is this what hangovers feel like?
No. Hangovers do not feel this good.
Oh. Good is not necessarily a word to put for this, but I mean, yeah, it's better than being just completely in pain.
Hangovers, typically your head hurts and you feel sick to your stomach.
True.
Do you feel sick to your stomach?
Not right now, but I'm pretty sure if I tried to walk, I might.
Yeah. Okay, don't do that, honey. Only because you don't want to, like, rip your stitches or whatever. It's probably pretty strong, but the thread that they use, but you don't want to try to, like, I wouldn't open your mouth real big.
No. Where exactly did they put the stitches?
Well, you might have stitches. I don't know if you do or not. I haven't talked to the doctors, but if you did, they would be where they pulled the teeth out.
Oh, okay. Legs, get your crap together. It's gonna be fun.
It's okay, hon. You're okay. And there's medical people around, so don't play with it.
I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to figure out where the dodge is.
It's on the side of your mouth.
I'm just afraid that I'll swallow it.
You won't swallow it.
But yeah, you're right. It was really quick.
It was.
Yeah. So, obviously, in the video, I eventually did come to. Like, I eventually did, come to in my mind, and I was like, okay, I have control over what I'm doing again. I know, like, where I'm at, and I know, what's going on. Like, that whole idea of, like, okay, I'm, like, as if I'm, like, waking up, as I said in the video. Like, it legit felt like I was waking up from just falling asleep. Now, at this point, obviously, I have no feeling really in the back part of my jaw, because I still have, like, Novocaine and the anesthetics. It was funny because, at one point, one of the dental hygienists comes over, and, she's, just taking just some measurements of, like, okay, like, how is she doing and everything like that. Give my mom some paperwork to say, here, this is what you're gonna need when you take her home. And it was funny because at some point they had asked, do you feel like you can walk? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I can barely see right now. I don't put a whole lot of merit in me walking. because everything felt like Jello. Like, I would like try to like lift my arm, but you know how like when you kind of like got the dead arm or something like that, or your arm falls asleep and like, you know, you try and pick it up and you go, that's legit what it felt like. It just felt like everything, like all my limbs were just like that. They were still asleep. And it was even funnier because, you know, in the video when I'm trying to focus on a sign and I tell my mom like, oh, I'm trying to read a sign, literally it felt like my vision was kind of like split. Like, it was really funny because, like, you know, have you ever like taken like some glasses or something like that have like the line in the middle of them? You know, you kind of hold it away or something like that, and like you'll put it on something and like one half of the image will be like lower than the other half or higher than the other half. It's not the same. Like, it just looks really weird. It felt like that. It felt like it was split. Like my eyes were just not able to focus on it. And it really hurt my head too. It was very hard to do. But I was determined to do it. I was determined to read that sign. But yeah, so the dental hygienist came over. She asked me, you know, can you walk? And I was like, probably not. And she said, okay, I'll give you a few more minutes and I'll come back. You know, she went away, did some work, came back, and she's like, all right, let's try to see if you can walk. And I was like, okay. So I have the dental hygienist on one side of me, my mom on the other side of me, and they're picking me up, and they're like, all right, let's just try to walk to the wall across from you. And the wall that was across from me was about maybe like 10, 15 feet away. Maybe. It wasn't that far, but it was far enough that I'm thinking to myself, like, my knees are going to give out before I probably get to that wall. And I kind of strained myself to actually walk there. Like, I had some control over my legs, but it was really, like, they were still kind of waking up. Obviously, like, they're both the dental hygienist and my mother are, like, you know, basically carrying me over to the wall, and I'm just slowly walking and everything like that, and they're like, all right, touch the wall. I'm like, I touched it, what now? They're like, all right, we're gonna walk you back. I'm like, okay, good. And they walk me back and they put me back in the chair that I was in, and I just kind of flop in it, and I'm just like, thank God I don't want to do that again. So, you know, I sit there for maybe like another like 10 minutes or so, just to make sure that I'm completely okay. They do the rundown of what I need to know, you know, what can I eat, what can't I eat, you know, what are the things I need to do. They give me the stuff, and then they tell me, you know, go here to pick up your prescriptions. We have some prescriptions that we've given you. You know, do that before you go home. They let us go. We get into the car, and I was actually kind of surprised about this. I was thinking at first that they'd be like, absolutely no soda whatsoever. But they did say, you know, if you do feel nauseous, you can have a little bit of soda to just calm your stomach. I thought I'd kind of be okay once they let us go, but I still had a lot of the medicine, like, still kind of lingering around. And yeah, I legit was like, as I'm walking out the door and we're walking to my mom's car, which was thankfully parked right in front of the building, I felt like I couldn't even make that. I was just thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. We get in the car and I'm doing the whole like deep breathing. I'm like, and my mom's just like, are you gonna be okay? I'm like, I feel a little sick. She's like, oh, here, have some of this. And she hands me a Pepsi and she's like, okay, but just a little bit. And I'm like, kind of slowly sipping it because I'm just trying to get it down past the gauze that's in my mouth. And I'm like, okay, that's good. And I'm just like, as I'm screwing on the top, I'm thinking, cherish that moment because that's not going to happen for about a week. So we get down to the pharmacy, which was in our local grocery store. And it was kind of sad because at this point now, the Novocaine and everything that was numbing this area of my face is now wearing off. And I am just sitting there in pain, and I'm just like, I just want to pass out right now because I'm in so much pain. But obviously I could not. What made this even worse though is that obviously I don't know necessarily if my local pharmacy actually has this rule, because I think I've been able to pick up prescriptions for other people. I just have to have proof, for that person or something like that, or, they have to call ahead. Obviously, we didn't have time to call ahead. We were literally coming right from my dentist office straight to the pharmacy. And my mom was just like, oh, shoot. She's like, I can pick up your prescriptions for you, but I can't go in by myself. I think you need to come in with me so that, you can verify that it is for you. I'm like, oh, come on. I don't want to go in. I'm like, my teeth hurt. I just want to die right now because I'm in so much pain. So she drags me along into the pharmacy. She sits me down in the chair in the pharmacy area. There's maybe like one other person there with like, an elderly woman, which I'm sure like was kind of in the same situation. The one woman was picking up prescriptions for the elderly woman or something like that, or helping her in. But yeah, it was funny because like obviously like I'm sitting there and I'm tired and now I'm like about ready to pass out. I'm sure to the people in my local grocery store, I looked like I was just high off of like everything. Like I wasn't necessarily staring at walls, but I was like legit just like I probably just did not look right. Thankfully, there was a clerk free, and they called my mom up and they're like, hi, how can I help you? And my mom sat there and she's like, hi, I'm picking up prescriptions for my daughter. She just got her wisdom teeth out. These are the prescriptions that she should be picking up. It was kind of funny too because the one woman that was there that was helping the elderly woman, she looks to me, who's obviously sitting in the chair like dying, pretty much. And she goes, oh my God, I am so sorry, you poor thing. I thought it was really sweet that she was like, like so sympathetic. so verbally sympathetic, but it was just kind of funny because I'm like, thank you. Don't mind me. But thankfully they were quick about it. We only had to maybe wait like 5 minutes or so. My mom went off, picked up like one more thing that we needed, came back, and they were done. So we get to the house, and I was at my mother's house at this point, just because that's where my sister was, and it was easier to watch me at my mother's house. And yeah, so we quickly took the Vicodin that they gave me for my pain and an ibuprofen for the swelling and everything. They also gave me like amoxicillin, which is obviously it's to make sure that, if you do have an infection that it takes care of it, or, to make sure that you don't have an infection, because obviously you just have these big holes. Well, you can't really see it because obviously you're all stitched up afterwards. But basically the first day you just have holes in your mouth. So they need to make sure that, you don't get any infections, because on the first day you can't brush your teeth or anything like that because you might mess with the stitching or ruin the healing process. So obviously that takes about 30 minutes to kick in. I was so tired. I thought, let me just try and sleep. Because the medicine had not kicked in yet, kiss sleeping goodbye. That wasn't happening. Yeah, no. Sleeping wasn't happening. I was in so much pain, I could not sleep. So I had to just basically wait for the Vicodin to kick in. In this time, my mom went off, picked up my sister, brought her back. She was at work, my sister, I think. And then my sister got back, and it was funny because the Vicodin and the ibuprofen had kicked in at this point, and surprisingly, I didn't want to sleep. I was wide awake. So now that my mouth and everything wasn't, trying to kill me from the inside out, at this point, I was now ready to finally have my first meal. And I say meal because obviously when you have wisdom teeth taken out, especially on the first day, it's like you're hungry, but you're also in a lot of pain and you're bleeding everywhere. You kind of almost don't want to eat. It was the weirdest sensation ever, and it's probably the first time I've never actually wanted to eat in my life. The other thing that made me so apprehensive about this whole procedure is obviously the fact of, so you can't have anything that's really not mushy or soft. So a lot of people like recommend on the first day at least, like, like yogurts, Jello, pudding, mashed potatoes, soups, stuff like that. I don't like mushy foods. I'm very much a texture person, where like even if a food tastes good, if the texture isn't right, my body's like, I want to gag. So it was really hard for me to find some foods that I actually could eat. I believe some of the things I had actually on was Go-Gurts. I loved Go-Gurts because I like yogurts, but for me it's like I don't like what I like to call the adult yogurts, where it's like it's got like mushed berries in it or something like that, or like chunks of fruit. I like it to be completely smooth all the way through. So Go-Gurts were kind of my go-to for everything. I also had Jello. I don't mind Jello because it is somewhat solid. I can feel it. It's not like just like swashing around in my mouth kind of idea. For soups, I actually don't like a lot of soups, so I had a lot of SpaghettiOs, because that was like the one kind of soup that I could actually hold down. And it was kind of like it was like one of two things I could have that was like a hot meal. So like it gave me the illusion that I wasn't completely having an awful day. And surprisingly, the other thing that I got, but more so because it's softer in its own right in a sense, but I got the Kraft's individual like mac and cheese like snack things. I really just wanted the mac. I didn't care about the cheese, so we didn't put in cheese, but I just had mac, so mac no cheese. But it was soft enough that, after it was cooked, I could, kind of push it up against the roof of my mouth with my tongue, and it would separate, and I could, eat it that way. But yeah, so first day with food sucked. It just sucked. It wasn't good. Yeah, like I said, I was pretty much raring to go for the day. Couldn't feel the sides of my mouth. The bleeding thing for the wisdom teeth, I know for me, like, I was kind of apprehensive about that because I was like, oh my god, am I going to be bleeding for like 5 days straight? It's really only you're bleeding for the first day, and typically it's only for a few hours. For me, I was lucky that actually the bleeding had kind of stopped maybe like 2 or 3 hours after I got home. So I didn't have to worry about like basically blood dripping out of my mouth. Yeah. And it was actually really funny because I really thought that I would be tired and I'd turn in early for the day. Nope. My sister and I stayed up until about midnight talking, watching YouTube videos, laughing, showing each other memes. The first day actually was really not that bad. And actually, oddly enough, comparing the first day to the other 4 days that came after, obviously, other than like the short, like maybe 15-minute period where I was leaving the dentist office, getting my prescriptions, and coming home, it was a pretty good day. It was probably the best day so far out of the 5 days, simply because it was probably the only day that I didn't have almost any pain, and I was talking the entire time. Day 2 hit. And yeah, so day 2, obviously, I didn't require any more babysitting. I was completely fine to go home. So when my mom got home from work that day, she drove my sister and I both back to our respective homes. And yeah, so I basically was left on my own and to assume the responsibility that I could actually try to administer myself meds. That didn't work out too well. But when I say that, that doesn't mean like, oh, I overdosed on meds. It was actually more the opposite. I underdosed on meds. So obviously, please do not take what I say as gospel in a sense. If your dentist or doctor does not recommend this practice for your particular procedure or for you in general, please do not do this. This is what was recommended for myself, as well as by family members who had also had procedures obviously done like this, and what their dentists and doctors recommended, who obviously were my dentists and doctors as well. So please do not take this as I'm giving medical advice, because I am not. I'm simply saying what I had to do and what was happening with me. So obviously I read the back of the ibuprofen bottle and everything, and it said do not exceed 6 tablets in one day. Once I kind of reached 6 tablets for the first 24-hour period, I pretty much stopped taking them because I was like, I don't want to overdose on them on accident. But obviously then that left me in a lot of pain. On top of that, I did not realize that you could also take Tylenol if you're not taking the Vicodin. Like, if you didn't want to take the Vicodin, you could take Tylenol as a substitute for that, in a sense, to, help with the pain, as well as take ibuprofen. Day 2 sucked. I was in so much pain. I did try to record something, and I did get something out, but then by the 3rd day, I was still in pain. And again, life sucked. I didn't have the energy to talk. I didn't have the energy to do anything, really. Day 2 and day 3 were a bust, pretty much. So, on top of that, I don't know why, but the universe was just like, hey, you know what, we're gonna make you plan this on, like, the worst week possible, like, have your procedure done on, like, the worst week possible. Not only are we gonna make you take 4 days vacation from work, because obviously we're gonna have you plan this on a Tuesday, the universe was also like, oh, and by the way, we're gonna have you go through this on top of, there being like 3 holidays in a row, basically, for this year. And if you don't know which 3 holidays I'm talking about, because obviously Easter just passed, April Fool's Day, opposite day, which is April 2nd, and then obviously the following Sunday, which was Easter. So day 4 and 5 were April Fool's Day and opposite day, and yeah, I spent them having my wisdom teeth done. Not that I necessarily had any particular plans on what to do for April Fool's Day, but if I had been a little bit more, like, conscious about what was going on in the world, it being that time of the year, I feel like I would have come up with something for that day, like a small video, but I didn't because I was too worried about my teeth. And on top of that, I didn't want to release videos like this on April Fool's Day because I didn't want people to think like, oh no, she's fooling. I'm like, no, I can show you the holes in my mouth where my wisdom teeth are not. There you go. I'm not fooling. This was a fun ride in a sense because, most people, they say, like, by day 5, you're not like 100%, but you're kind of more like at that 90%. Like, you can at least somewhat eat solid foods or, semi-solid foods. Most of the pain and the swelling has dulled down. That was not really the case for me so much. By day 4 and 5, I was still eating soft foods. I guess most people by like day 3 or by like, day 4 onwards are kind of moving to solid, like semi-solid foods. I was not. It still kind of hurt at the time to eat anything like that. And the reason why, kind of like as I learned, obviously it still hurt because obviously I wasn't managing my pills correctly. The Saturday prior to Easter and then obviously Easter Day, we had a couple events that we were doing for the holidays. Myself and obviously my family that we live close together. Saturday, we were doing a family dinner for a family member that was going to be spending Easter with her other set of family on Easter Day. And then on Sunday, my cousin was holding basically an Easter egg hunt, one for the kids, but also for the adults. Now, I love family outings. I love spending time with my family. I love getting to do stuff with my family. So, at first, I told my family, because I was in pain on day 3 and day 4, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be coming to these events. My mom was kind of upset that I wasn't going to be able to go, but she kind of talked me into it, and, she was like, we can work around it, and no one's going to care really that you still have some things to take care of while your teeth are like this. Because obviously every single one of my family members has had their teeth pulled out, of course. So I took it back. I said, on second thought, I think I will go. I went and it was really, really fun. And thankfully, on those 2 days, because I was distracted, because I was out of the house, I actually had totally forgotten about my pain at times, as well as the fact of, I literally had alarms on my phone that like every 4 hours I was taking pills. Yeah, I was managing it, it was going well. By like day 6, the swelling was pretty much completely gone. There was still pain, but what was funny though was what I learned was that a lot of the pain that I was feeling after a lot of the swelling had gone down was that a lot of that pain actually was from the stitches themselves. And I kind of worried at first because, the stitches that are in your mouth are supposed to dissolve over time. And there are some stitches that dissolve within a week. There's some stitches that dissolve within 2 weeks. I think I got the stitches that dissolved within 2 weeks because even up to day 7, I still had a lot of stitches in my mouth that had not dissolved and gone away. Like, I could still feel them in my mouth, and I was just like, oh, this sucks. So, yeah, there was all of that to deal with. There was another thing that I was worried about, and another thing I wanted to check in about, because I had been looking it up on my own and wondering, okay, when can I finally have certain things that has been told to me to avoid? Because obviously, when you get your wisdom teeth out, they tell you, okay, you can't suck anything. I know that sounds really dirty. But what they mean is, like, you can't, like, if you're having a drink, you can't, like, suck it through a straw. You can't have, like, if you have soup or something like that, you shouldn't go, you should put it in your mouth and kind of, like, not scrape, but, drag it out of your mouth or something like that. They don't want you sucking it. And the reason why is because obviously during the healing process, your body is basically trying to plug up those holes. And if you're doing that motion of sucking or anything like that, it may undo the work that's been done with holes, and you might start bleeding again, and then you have to go back in, and it's another like 2 weeks to heal. So yay! Thankfully for me though, I got the okay during my 1 week checkup today that my teeth were healing well, and I actually got most of my stitches cut out, like the ones that were pretty much loosened and degraded. So I only have like a couple sets of stitches on the bottom here that I have to worry about, but for the most part, they told me I was doing good. They're just like, yeah, just make sure that you just keep doing what you're doing, and they'll dissolve eventually. So obviously, going back to the whole thing about what you can and cannot eat, they suggest not having soda or alcohol. One of my, not necessarily a staple in my life, but one of my big joys in life is soda. I was just like, man, I can't have soda. Now, I didn't know if they meant like I just can't have it on the first day, or if it meant I can't have it for a whole week, or the whole technical 6 weeks that the wounds are healing. It was really weird because I didn't know when I could or could not have things, as well as like another thing that I really like a lot is spicy food. That's another thing they tell you that you shouldn't have when you get your wisdom teeth pulled out. And the reason why, obviously, is because the spices can get into the holes and everything and irritate the extraction sites, and obviously undo a lot of the healing process. So, like, everything on the piece of paper that they gave me, I pretty much stuck to right down to the T. So if they told me, okay, you only have to do this for 5 days or something like that, or, do this after your surgery, I did it and probably more. Like, I didn't brush my teeth on the first day. I waited until afterwards. I very slowly brushed my teeth and everything like that. And I even made sure to, like, try to avoid the extraction sites until, like, I knew that they were until obviously I gotten, like, the okay from my dentist, like, okay, you're fine, you can just brush them normally. As well as the fact of, so you can't use mouthwash either, really, to rinse out your mouth. What they tell you to do instead is they tell you to do, like, a saltwater treatment, in a sense, like a saltwater rinse. And what they told me exactly on my piece of paper was to take like 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, put it into an 8-ounce cup, and take the 8-ounce cup and just like take sips off of it, take the water, swish it around a little bit, spit it out, and just keep going for about 5 minutes, or basically until the whole cup is done. But the thing is that you can't actually like swish it around like you would like with regular water. Like, you can't do that, especially on the first couple days. It was funny because like for me, like, I would very slowly with my cheeks kind of push it back and forth in my mouth. But what I would do instead is I'd like, take a sip of it, kind of not fill up my cheeks, but just enough where I knew that like, okay, there's a majority of it in there. And I would just tilt my head back and forth in those general areas to make sure that the water was being distributed in the back of my teeth. Yeah, it was not fun. They told me to do the salt water rinse for about 5 days. My dentist did not tell me this. This is kind of what I've researched, but I think they tell you not to use mouthwash or anything like that until like maybe like 6. I don't know. I don't know when they want you to use mouthwash again, but I do know that they said probably not for like 2 weeks after your surgery. So I'm probably just going to continue with the saltwater treatment until then, because that is a good enough way of, deodorizing your mouth if you need it. As well as, just getting rid of bacteria and cleaning it out efficiently. So yeah, as of the day of this recording, it is day 9 for me. And like I said, I went to my dentist for my 1-week checkup. They snipped out quite a few of the stitches from my mouth. And while I was there, I was like, okay, so what can and can't I have? Like, can I have soda? Can I have spicy stuff? And they were legit. Like, my dentist was like, have at it. Go to town. Like, legit in the dentist, I was like, go to town. You can do whatever you want now. It's fine. I told myself that if I got my stitches cut out, or at least enough to like where it wasn't causing me pain, and they had confirmed that I was, I had the green light to kind of move back towards a normal diet like I had prior to the surgery, I was like, I'm going to Burger King and I'm getting myself a real meal. Or as I like to call it as a kid, Booger King, because I couldn't say burger as a kid. So to me, it was Booger King. So I went down to Booger King and I got myself some chicken fries, some regular fries, some mozzarella sticks, and a soda. And you don't know how good it feels to finally have Booger King. Yeah, I waited so long to finally have, like, fast food and real food. I did actually try to eat other foods, like the semi-solid foods and everything like that, like once day 5 had hit and passed. And, like, I had confirmed that I could eat French fries, but I was so scared about breaking the stitches and causing problems that I had to cook them softer than what I actually really like. Because I like my French fries crispy. I like everything crispy. Not just my fries, everything. My chicken, my pizza I like a little softer, but still just a little crispy. My French fries, my onion rings, my everything, my everything fried, I want it crispy. But I couldn't have crispy, I had to have mush. So yeah, I had confirmed that I could have French fries. Obviously for Easter dinner we had ham. I tried my luck with that. It didn't go so well. Like, I could eat it, but it wasn't great. And then another thing that I realized I could have was hot dogs. There's actually this one brand of hot dogs that we have at my local Walmart. It's like a chicken, turkey, beef mix, but they sell it in a big pack, so it's like 50 dogs or something like that. And like on top of that, it's a little softer than a natural casing hot dog, so it's easy to cut up and chew and everything like that. So I remember I got that, and that was probably like the first thing I had that was the closest thing to a real meal. Like, I couldn't have it with bread. Trying to like fit the hot dog bun with the hot dog in it into my mouth was probably gonna be really difficult, and I knew it was gonna be a lot of pain. After a couple days of doing the mush, I realized that I was not taking in a lot of calories because a lot of my hunger was being subsided by taking a lot of water. But obviously after a while, my body's like, okay, the water's great, but we need some food. And I was kind of getting tired of eating all the mush food that I had. At that point, I was just eating it for survival. Positive though, I lost 3 pounds. So, I guess the answer to losing pounds is starving yourself. Don't do that. Honest to God, I'd rather be fat and happy than skinny and miserable, because literally that's what was going on. I was getting skinnier, which was great. I kind of started to have an hourglass shape, which was fantastic. Haven't had that in about 10 years. But without hot dog buns, if I'm just eating the hot dogs, as they are just boiled by themselves, I actually could eat about 5 or 6 of them in one sitting, like for a meal. It was like I was starving, like legit. Like this was just yesterday. I was starving. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 hot dogs, just make sure like I can at least get it down. I ate 3 hot dogs, and like literally 30 minutes later, my body's like, I want more. Make more now. And it was like as if I hadn't eaten in like 8 hours. And I was like, oh my God, I'm still hungry. And I made 4 more. So like I had a total of 7 dogs. And even after 7 hot dogs, my body was still like it was full. Like I was full, but it was like still like, I'm still hungry. Feed me. And I thought at that point I was like, okay, no. It's probably because I'm not taking enough water. I kind of like got a little lackluster with taking in water that day. But yeah, no. Like I was so hungry yesterday. Like I was just like that's how bad it was. That's how much food I wasn't eating. And even today, after I got Burger King and everything like that, because I didn't want to mess anything up. So I ate what I was supposed to up until I went to my dentist and I could confirm that he had said, like, yes, this is fine. It's funny because, with my Burger King meal that I usually get, I usually either have like a couple mozzarella sticks or a couple of chicken fries or something like that still on the side or something like that. I usually can't completely finish it, but if I do, I'm like at that like overstuffed, like, oh my God, I can't eat another bite, and I'm usually full for like hours. Like today, like I ate it and was still like, I could have had like maybe 2 or 3 more chicken fries and then I'd be stuffed. Like I was hungry. So yeah, tip for anybody that, when you get your wisdom teeth out, maybe on the day when you're finally like, you can actually have real food, maybe put some like chicken nuggets or something like that in your freezer, or some French fries or something. Just put filling stuff, like stuff that fills you really quickly in your fridge, because more than likely you're gonna come out of this and you're gonna be like, feed me. Because that's legit what it felt like for me. I was like, feed me, Seymour. So yeah, I still have quite a bit of healing to do. That I know of what I was reading up on is that the extraction sites for your wisdom teeth don't actually heal up completely until about 6 weeks after your surgery, so about a month and a half. It sucks, but for the most part, you're able to kind of get back to like where you were prior. I think there are still some things I do have to be careful about with my teeth, but for the most part, my dentist has said you can pretty much go back to your normal life. Just, prior to having 5 more teeth in your head. No big deal. Honest to God, it is so good to be back making videos again. I am so excited now that I'm back to where I am, that, I have lots of energy, that I'm able to eat real meals now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please look forward to videos pretty soon in the future. I'm gonna start working on those like ASAP. And I hope after I've edited this one and this one's out, there will be one soon on the way. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.